Markets Now is brought to you by the 5-year anniversary of Brevant Seeds. Here's to 5 years of not just winning, but collecting one game-changing W after another. See all of our wins at brevant.com/wins.
And welcome to Markets Now. I'm Michelle Rook with Scott Varilek of Kooima, Varilek. Grains leaning to the plus side this morning. Corn is struggling just a little bit, but over in the livestock, seeing a lot of red on the board, especially in cattle. And Scott, let's talk about, man, we have had a lot of headlines coming at this cattle market. We had a tough day yesterday, and we're seeing follow-through selling today. Is there any one headline that's causing this selling, or is it a combination?
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And we're talking markets now, right? But the now changes really fast in this cattle market, the ups and downs. And, your 10-minute delay on your quotes can be outdated pretty fast. So what we're dealing with as far as stories, for me, it looks like we've got a combination happening here. I think number one, you can probably rank them. Number one, Mexican border uncertainty. We're going to get it open. I mean, that we keep preaching that it is going to happen. We'll get it open. So at least we're penciling some of that into the market here, as there's still no date set. There is headway being made. We got another facility open for more, sterile flies, all of that getting wrapped into there. So we all wish we just had a crystal clear date, like just give us a date so we can start to digest this and figure out some numbers, what's going to happen. So we're going to pencil some of that in here. I think that's kind of your lead dog. The other one's going to be just kind of a slipping cash market and just overall leverage here.
One of the other things, though, we should talk about is the Brazil tariffs maybe being lifted. There was news yesterday that the Trump administration is going to try to lower food prices like coffee and some of those things that come from Brazil by lowering tariffs. Beef was not listed in there, though, was it?
Yeah, that was kind of the odd fact of it. I mean, we were beef from Brazil. They were our number one source of beef as far as imports are concerned to start the year and in hot fashion. And it had been a long stretch where Brazil just was not a participant. We had reasons that we were not allowing Brazilian beef in. And once that started picking up, we were getting a lot of beef from them. So then when the tariffs hit the skids there, it's just a good thing. Beef was not listed yesterday, like you said. So they're still, okay, I guess that's not going to happen quite yet here. So for now, we're just looking at it as, hey, I guess there's going to be a little bit of beef coming in from Argentina. In Brazil, that's still going to be a story that's going to be out there. We'll be looking for news. Now, I don't like when I was ranking the stories, Mexican border first, and I think cash is second. I think these imports are probably, third on that list as far as what we're looking for negative, stories on this market. But it's in there, lump it in there. We're trying to track it close. We haven't had any, really strong information just to stand on, but we know Brazil has a lot of beef. We need it. We're short of it. We need those grinding meats. That's your grinding meat source. So I would feel like that would be an easy fix to, we keep hearing, I want to get beef prices lower. I want to get beef prices lower. Well, that would be one of the easy fixes to get that done, to bring that low quality grinding meat in here. So could happen. I think I'm more clear on we're going to get that Mexican border open than I am on any of the tariff talks. I mean, anytime we're talking about the tariffs with these countries, it's been hard to try to keep up with, and a lot of uncertainty there. So that word's going to keep popping up on all these stories. And with all of this uncertainty, how does a fund want to jump in and try to buy this market? And it's keeping them at bay. So we need to get some of these stories behind us, I think, before we can try to find that push back higher here.
So let's talk about cash trade and where we have developed this week, because we had, I think, some 228 in the south. So that's down $3, but the north bids just kind of keep sliding here, don't they?
Yeah, it's a rough time of year. Usually it used to always be October was such a slug for the northern, our big run on fats in the north, and now we've shifted that back, and especially with as big as we're making these cattle, and with the high price of feeders, these guys elected to keep feeding what they have. Cost of gains are cheap. It's easy just to put it on, and I think we're just starting to see some evidence of that. I mean, early in the week, you saw a regional sale of 326, and then it was 320 or 226, then 225, and then we slipped all the way down to 223, and now we're trying to get 222 today. So you're seeing a big packer grab for the last couple of weeks. They're getting a lot of inventory around them. I would say most people are willing sellers. There are still some people fighting the market. I didn't get 245. Now I'm just going to keep feeding them. But so the rest of November, packers should have plenty of cattle around them. I think they've grabbed a lot of cattle. And then when they turn into December, they can probably, use some contract cattle there. So not liking what I see in the cash. And we know we have some large weights. We still have quite a few cattle on the show list in the north. It's not cleaned up, even though most of these guys are selling. So having that first feeling that we're not current, there is just a couple of packing plants complaining about the weights, and we haven't heard that. Our supply's been so tight that they've been welcoming the extra pounds. So this is the first little shift where they're saying, okay, these weights are getting a little bit out of control. And if we lose our leverage and they have cattle around them for the next couple of weeks, it might get a little bit tough because they might able to play that card and say, hey, these are too big. We're going to maybe start discounting some of that. Haven't seen it yet, but my worry is there. Your seasonals on this cash market don't turn around till the middle of December, and seeing what this market can do every single day has me scared that we're going to wait a month before we really start to get some of that leverage back. So my anticipation for next week, they're going to come out with lower bids next week, even yet. They are shipping a lot of these south. There is cattle coming from the north to the south, but they're going to be able to buy them at a discount up here, an even bigger discount, I think. And there'll be some guys that are getting a little bit scared and wanting to get them moved here pretty quick.
Hate to see the producers losing leverage, because that was such a big key here on the way up for sure in the markets. Yeah. All right. So from a technical standpoint, we have done a lot of chart damage here. Obviously, you and I have talked about this before, but what are you watching? Are the uptrends, long-term uptrends, still intact?
That's the biggest thing I'm tracking. Our long-term trends, we got so steep so fast that we left some of those uptrend lines in the dust. And now that we creep lower, they're starting to get where they're in the radar here. So yeah, short term, you got a Fed cattle, 215.50. It popped below that today, and now it's kind of back above it. So we're testing some of the short term stuff, but long term, it's $2 fats and 275 feeders for me. I'm watching those levels. I think those are in range. It's very possible that could happen. We've lost some of that leverage, some of those fundamental stories that are happening, but technically, I think those are areas that we need to hold. And if we take those out, then it's even tougher sledding yet. I mean, the scariest part is that we're still at very high levels. I mean, we were so excited when we got above $2 on the fats. I mean, what a huge price that was. And $3 feeders. I mean, when we started saying it possibly could go to $3, that was a number that was crazy. I think it's going to go that high, and we're still above it. Now we're wondering if we're going to hold that $3. So still plenty of room below us. And that's what's going to keep me saying I need to protect myself. I do not want to go through 2015 again with how a lot of people, the industry, traded that market thinking we're going to turn around, we're going to go higher. I always say I can keep hitting myself in the head with a hammer, but at some point it'd be nice just to kind of say, hey, I'm gonna stop fighting this now. And stop, maybe it's time for me to look at what can I do to stop some of this bleeding, because there is still risk lower here yet.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, we had those limited moves on Monday. I don't know if that was because of the government reopening or what it was, but anyways, looks like we could have lower weekly closes here when it's all said and done in both live and feeder cattle futures again, right?
Yeah, and that limit up sure feels like a long time ago, doesn't it?
I mean,
that's how these days are dragging on, up and down fast. Sure.
So the hog market felt like it followed cattle on Monday, maybe even Tuesday. Looked like we were starting to turn on the charts here. Now we're back, seeing technical selling, lower cash and cutout values weighing on the market?
Yeah, that was a pretty good head fake for the hogs. I mean, at least they had that steady downtrend that they'd just been grinding on lower. And it was kind of a market. Don't do anything until it breaks that trend line if you're going to try to do any upside. And then it did, followed through real sharp, only to smash back lower, kind of like, well, nothing changed. We still have, it's still November 15. We've got plenty of supply. The barns are full. We're going to have hogs around us here for a while yet. And maybe needs some better story to kind of get it up and out of here. It's not going to be able to do it this time of year. So it could stay, lower to sideways here, for a period of time through the end of the year. And we're probably not going to, turn the calendar into next year before we really maybe see anything want to get behind it. So the intradays, we might have some ups and downs. It's good that they maybe got that downtrend line out of the way, but I just don't see the big upside here yet with the supply. Keep track of disease. That'll be it. Your next spring, next summer prices, they could have, a lot more fun than what these front months are going to have.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we had new highs for the move in both the soybean and the corn market yesterday, but it's really all about what happens in the reports today. So any quick comments, because this is going to be blown up by 11 o'clock.
Yeah, this might be old news, but for me, we've put a lot on these grains. They kind of had some technical breakouts that,
Right.
Sometimes they can do that ahead of a report. If they're close to a line or a breakout, they take that out just to kind of keep that volatility going. But they're going to need some good news and really good news because, looking at the ending stock number on corn, that's a large number. It's the kind of number that says, I don't think we have to waste much time on trying to put a long trend higher move together in beans. They've put a lot on already. So is it going to be a buy the rumor, sell the fact kind of trade yet to be seen here?
Yeah, that's my concern. We'll see if the bulls get fed what they need today. Right. Thanks so much, Scott Varilek with Kooima Varilek. That is Markets Now.
When you choose Brevant Seeds, you don't just win. You win so big, the very ground beneath your feet cries tears of joy. You win so big that second place feels like a participation trophy. You win so big, you might as well be harvesting buried treasure. Oh, sorry, just one more. When you choose Brevant Seeds, you don't just win. You hit the damn jackpot. Don't just win. Talk with your retailer or visit Brevant.com/jackpot to get started.